Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Avadreshu Nityam Bhakta Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, today we're starting new chapter, chapter 2, a Jamil delivered by the Vishnu Dutas. Text number 1 onwards. Shri Badarayane Ruvacha evam te Bhagavad Duta Yamaduta Vibhashitam Upadharyat Tanarajan Prati Ahur Naiko Vidaha. Shukdev Goswami said, My dear king, the servants of Lord Vishnu are always very expert in logic and arguments. After hearing the statements of Yamdutas, they replied as follows. Shri Vishnu Duta Uchuhu Aho Kashtam Dharma Drisham Adharma Isprashate Sabham Yatra Dandayeshu Papeshu Dando Yar Dhriyate Vritha. The Vishnu Duta said, Alas, how painful it is that irreligion is being introduced into an assembly where religion should be maintained. Indeed, those in charge of maintaining the religious principles are needlessly punishing a sinless, unpunishable person. So when Vishnu Duta said this, I'm pretty sure Yamdutas were thinking, what in the world are they talking about? This guy is sinless, unpunishable? He had committed so many sins. And how can Vishnu Duta say he's a sinless person? The Vishnu Dutas accused the Yamdutas of violating the religious principles by attempting to drag Ajamil to Yamraj for punishment. Yamraj is the officer appointed by the Supreme Personality of God to judge religious and irreligious principles and to punish people who are irreligious. However, if completely sinless people are punished, the entire assembly of Yamraj is contaminated. This principle applies not only in the assembly of Yamraj, but throughout human society also. So even in the human society, if an innocent person is punished, then that can bring lots of misfortune to the society. In human society, properly maintaining religious principles is the duty of the king's court or the government. Unfortunately, in this yuga, Kali Yuga, the religious principles are tampered with, and the government cannot properly judge who is to be punished and who is not. It is said that in the Kali Yuga, if one cannot spend money in court, one cannot get justice. Indeed, in courts of justice, it is often found that the magistrates are bribed for favorable judgments. Sometimes religious men who preach the Krishna consciousness movement for the benefit of the entire populace are arrested and harassed by the police and courts. The Vishnu Dutas who were Vaishnavas lamented for these very regrettable facts. Because of this spiritual compassion for all the fallen souls, Vaishnavas go out to preach according to the standard method of all religious principles. But unfortunately, because of the influence of Kali, Vaishnavas who have dedicated their lives to preaching the glories of the Lord are sometimes harassed and punished by courts on false charges of disturbing the peace. So if Vaishnavas are if they are harassed and sometimes they're produced in the court also and punished by the court for false charges of disturbing the peace, we can only imagine how much misfortune that will bring to that court, that person, that country, everybody. So the religious principles have to be maintained. And this is what Vishnu Dutas are saying. You're supposed to maintain religious principles, but you don't even know what is religion and what is irreligion. Prajanam pitro yecha shastara sadva samah. Yadi syatteshu vaishamyam kam yanti sharanam prajaha. A king or governmental official should be so well qualified that he acts as a father, maintainer, and protector of the citizens because of affection and love. He should give the citizens good advice and instructions according to the standard scriptures and should be equal to everyone. Yamraj does this, for he is a supreme master of justice. So do those who follow in his footsteps. However, if such persons become polluted and exhibit partiality by punishing an innocent, blameless person, where will the citizens go to take shelter for the maintenance and security? So I'm pretty sure by now the Yamdutas are completely bewildered. This guy, innocent, blameless? How is it possible? The king, or in the modern times, the government, should act as a guardian of the citizens by teaching them the proper goal of life. The human form of life is especially meant for realization of one's self and one's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because this cannot be realized in animal life. The duty of the government, therefore, is to take charge of training all the citizens in such a way that by a gradual process they will be elevated to the spiritual platform and will realize the self and his relationship with God. This principle was followed by kings like Maharaj Yudhishthir, Maharaj Parikshit, Lord Ramchandra, Maharaj Amrish, and Prahlad Maharaj. The leaders of the government must be very honest and religious, because otherwise all the affairs of the state will suffer. Unfortunately, in the name of democracy, rogues and thieves are electing other rogues and thieves to the most important posts in the government. Recently, this has proven in America, where the president had to be condemned and dragged down from the post by the citizens. I think this is referring to this incident of Watergate. President Nixon was brought down. This is only one case, but there are many others. Because of the importance of the Krishna consciousness movement, people should be Krishna conscious and should not vote for anyone who's not Krishna conscious. Then there will be actual peace and prosperity in the state. When a Vaishnava sees mismanagement in the government, he feels great compassion in his heart and tries his best to purify the situation by spreading the Hare Krishna movement. So this is the only solution, actually. And the guardian, the king or the government or any leader in the society, it is his duty to lead the people properly so that they can lead their life according to the scriptures. But if the leaders are not honest and they are corrupt and irreligious, then everybody in the state, everybody in that kingdom or the country will suffer. And then Vishnu Dutas are saying this same verse that appears in Bhagavad Gita also. Yad yadacharti sheshta shreya nitaras tat tat adihate sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. The mass of people follow the example of a leader in society and imitate his behavior. They accept as evidence whatever the leader accepts. Although Ajamil was not punishable, the Yamdutas were insisting on taking him away to Yamaraj for punishment. This was adharma, contrary to religious principles. The Vishnudutas feared that if such irreligious acts were allowed, the management of human society would be spoiled. In modern times, the Krishna consciousness movement is trying to introduce the right principles of management for human society. But unfortunately, the governments of Kali Yuga do not properly support the Hare Krishna movement because they do not appreciate its valuable service. The Hare Krishna movement is the right movement for ameliorating the fallen conditions of human society. It means fixing or bringing them back up. And therefore, governments and public leaders in every part of the world should support this movement to completely rectify humanity's sinful condition. So the sinful condition of humanity is basically because of breaking the four principles: meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, and intoxication. And if that can be stopped, and it can be stopped. It's not like people will die if they don't do this, if they don't perform these sinful activities. They're not going to die. In fact, they will live more prosperously and more happily. And for the activity to give them is the best activity, the chanting of the holy name. So if people can do that, it will definitely bring lots of fortune to the society. But either the government has to do it themselves, or they have to give the free hand to the devotees to do it. Text 5 to 6. Yasyanke shir adhaya lokaswapiti nirvritaha swayam dharmam adharmam va nahi veda yatha pashu swakatham niyarpitatmanam kritam matkaram achetanam visrambha bribhutanam sagrino dogdhum arhati. People in general are not very advanced in knowledge by which to discriminate between religion and irreligion. The innocent, unenlightened citizen is like an ignorant animal sleeping in peace with its head on the lap of its master, faithfully believing in the master's protection. If a leader is actually kind-hearted and deserves to be the object of a living entity's faith, how can he punish or kill a foolish person who has fully surrendered in good faith and friendship? The Sanskrit word Vishwasghata refers to one who breaks faith or causes a breach of trust. The mass of people should always feel security because of the government's protection. Therefore, how regrettable it is for the government itself to cause a breach of trust and put the citizens in difficulty for political reasons. We actually saw during the partition days in India that although Hindus and Muslims were living together peacefully, manipulation by politicians suddenly aroused feelings of hatred between them, and thus the Hindus and Muslims killed one another over politics. This is a sign of Kali Yuga. In this age, animals are kept nicely sheltered, completely confident that the masters will protect them. But unfortunately, as soon as the animals are fat, they are immediately sent for slaughter. Such cruelty is condemned by Vaishnavas like the Vishnu Dutas. Indeed, the hellish conditions already described await the sinful men responsible for such suffering. One who betrays the confidence of a living entity who takes shelter of him in good faith, whether that living entity be a human being or an animal, is extremely sinful. Because such betrayals now go unpunished by the government, all of human society is terribly contaminated. The people of this age are therefore described as Manda Sumanda Madhya Manda Bhagya Yuktrita. As a consequence of such sinfulness, men are condemned, Manda. Their intelligence is unclear, they are unfortunate, and therefore they are always disturbed by many problems. This is their situation in this life, and after death they are punished in hellish conditions. So the Vishwasghata, the word comes in the shloka, one who breaks faith or causes a breach of trust. So that person is really, really punishable. Especially if a leader is if a leader, whether it's a political leader or leader of a family, leader in a house, or whatever, if he betrays the confidence of a living entity who takes shelter of him in good faith, is extremely sinful. And such betrayals are not punished by the government. Just like if some person raises chicken or goat, and the animals are living freely on his farm, but then he slaughters them, kills them to eat their flesh. Now, according to government, this is not a crime, but in Krishna's eyes, so in the eyes of the nature, laws of nature, it is a terrible crime, terrible, terrible crime, and the person will be punished. And this in Kali Yuga, this is so rampant. People don't even believe this is a crime. And that's why we in Kali Yuga get more and more punished. And that's why people in this Kali Yuga, men are condemned, their intelligence is unclear, they are unfortunate, and they're always disturbed. Manda bhagya hi upadruta. Ayam hi krita nirvesho janma kotya hasampi yad vyajahara vivasho nama swasti ayanam hare. Ajamil has already atoned for all his sinful actions. Indeed, he has atoned not only for sins performed in one life, but for those performed in millions of lives. For in a helpless condition, he chanted the holy name of Narayan. Even though he did not chant purely, he chanted without offense, and therefore he is now pure and eligible for liberation. Forget about going to hell, to Yamaloka, he is eligible for liberation. So can we imagine the potency of the holy name? And here they have said, he has atoned not only for sins performed in one life, but for those performed in millions of lives. Millions of lives. The Yamdutas had considered only the external situation of Ajamil. Since he was extremely sinful throughout his life, they thought he should be taken to Yamraj and did not know that he had become free from the reactions of all his sins. The Vishnu Dutas therefore instructed that because he had chanted the 4 syllables of name Narayan at the time of his death, he was freed from all sinful reactions. In fact, he was freed from all sinful reactions even before that, when he was saying, Narayan, come here, Narayan, go there, Narayan, eat, Narayan, drink. So he was already freed. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the following verses from Smriti Shastra. So some verses are quoted glorifying the holy name. Namno hi yavati shakti papa nirharane hare tavat kartum na shaknoti patakam pataki naraha. Simply by chanting one holy name of Hari, a sinful man can counteract the reactions to more sins than he is able to commit. Wow. Then he is even able to commit. He can just counteract all the reactions. Aveshanapi yannamani kirtite sarvapataka puman vimuchyate sadhya simha traster mrigera iva. If one chants the holy name of the Lord, even in a helpless condition or without desiring to do so, all the reactions of a sinful life depart, just as when a lion roars, all the small animals flee in fear. That's in Garuda Puran. सकृदुच्चारितं येन हरिर इति अक्षरद्वयं बद्ध परिकरस्तेन मोक्षाय गमनं प्रति. By once chanting the holy name of the Lord, which consists of two syllables, Hari, one guarantees his path to liberation. By once chanting, it doesn't say constantly chanting, only once, even that guarantees liberation. This is how powerful the holy name is. So Ajamil was calling his son, but the name of the son is Narayan. So which is the name of the Lord? So, so that is why, I mean, we just have to make sure that we are chanting always, one way or other, chanting, whether we're calling our children whose names are, whom we have named after the Lord, or whether a business may be named after the Lord, or just chanting the regular Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It is so powerful. These are some of the reasons why the Vishnu Dutas objected to the Yamdutas taking Ajamil to the court of Yamaraj. Text 8. Etena hi aghonosya kritam syad ghanish kritam yada narayana ayati jagad chaturaksharam. The Vishnu Dutas continued. Even previously, while eating and at other times, this Ajamil would call his son, saying, "My dear Narayan, please come here." Although calling the name of his son, he nevertheless uttered the four syllables, Narayana. Simply by chanting the name of Narayan in this way, he sufficiently atoned for the sinful reactions of millions of lives. Millions of lives. Previously, when engaged in sinful activities to maintain his family, Ajamil chanted the name of Narayan without offenses. To chant the holy name of the Lord just to counteract one's sinful activities, or to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name, is offensive. Namno balad yasya hi papa buddhi. But although Ajamil engaged in sinful activities, he never chanted the holy name of Narayan to counteract them. He simply chanted the name Narayan to call his son. Therefore, his chanting was effective. Because in his mind, he was never thinking. First, he was not thinking that he's committing sin. And secondly, he was not thinking, let me chant the name of Narayan to counteract my sin so that I can commit more sinful activities. That wasn't his thought. So that's why he did not chant offensively. He chanted, it wasn't pure chanting, but it was offenseless chanting. Because of chanting the holy name of Narayan in this way, he had already vanquished the accumulated sinful reactions of many, many lives. In the beginning, he was pure, but although he later committed many sinful acts, he was offenseless because he did not chant the holy name of Narayan to counteract them. One who always chants the holy name of the Lord without offenses is always pure. As confirmed in this verse, Ajamil was already sinless, and because he chanted the name of Narayan, he remained sinless. It did not matter that he was calling his son. The name itself was effective. So just imagine if somebody is chanting with pure love, with a pure heart, with the thought of, with the consciousness of pleasing Krishna by chanting the holy names. What benefit, what results he will get. Text 9:10. Stena surapo mitra drug brahma guru talpaga stri raj pitri gohanta yecha pata kino apare sarvesham api aghavat agvatam idam eva sunishkritam Nama Vyaharanam Vishnur Yatastad Vishaya Matihi. The chanting of the holy name of Lord Vishnu is the best process of atonement for a thief of gold or other valuables, for a drunkard, for one who betrays a friend or relative, for one who kills a Brahman, for one who indulges in sex with the wife of his guru or another superior. It is also the best method of atonement for one who murders women, the king or his father, for one who slaughters cows, and for all other sinful men. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Vishnu, such sinful persons may attract the attention of the Supreme Lord, who therefore considers, because this man has chanted my holy name, and my duty is to give him protection. Wow. See all the sinful people and the worst of the sinful, one who slaughters cows, one who murders women, the king or his own father. Everybody and anybody can get his sinful reactions completely out, completely wiped out. Best process of atonement. Sometimes people say, why Krishna does that? Is he, doesn't he have sense? Doesn't he have knowledge that how much sin these guys have committed? So they should be punished unlimitedly. From one point of view, yes, they should be punished. But it is the name of Krishna which is all the energies. And energies of Krishna means his mercy also. And when that name is chanted, that mercy energy becomes so powerful. It just removes all the karmic reactions. And if somebody chants with pure intention, pure love, then it just cleanses his heart of any inclination to commit further sins, and it gives him Krishna prema. That's how powerful, how potent, and how merciful the holy name of the Lord is. Just we have to take it seriously. Text 11. Na nishkriter uditer brahmavadipis tatha vishuddhati agvan vritadipi yatha harer nama pader udaharites tad uttam shlok gunopalambakam. By following the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or undergoing atonement, sinful men do not become as purified as by chanting once the holy name of Lord Hari. Although ritualistic atonement may free one from sinful reactions, it does not awaken devotional service, unlike the chanting of the Lord's names, which reminds one of the Lord's fame, qualities, attributes, pastimes, and paraphernalia. It is said actually in one place that one chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is equivalent to thousands of Ashwamedh Yajna, performance of thousands of Ashwamedh Yajnas. One chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that the chanting of the holy name of the Lord has special significance that distinguishes it from the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies of atonement for severe, more severe, or most severe sinful actions. There are 20 types of religious scriptures called Dharmashastras, beginning with the Manu Samhita and Parashar Samhita. But herein it is stressed that although one may become free from the reactions of the most sinful activities by following the religious principles of these scriptures. This cannot promote a sinful man to the stage of loving service to the Lord. On the other hand, chanting the holy name of the Lord, even once, not only frees one immediately from the reactions of the greater sins, but also raises one to the platform of rendering loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described as Uttam Shloka because he is famous for his glorious activities. Thus, one serves the Lord by remembering his form, his attributes, and pastimes. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that this is all possible simply by chanting the Lord's holy name because of the Lord's omnipotence. What cannot be achieved through the performance of Vedic rituals can be easily achieved through the chanting of the Lord's holy name. To chant the holy name and dance in ecstasy is so easy and sublime that one can achieve all the benefits of spiritual life simply by following this process. Therefore, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declares, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories to Shri Krishna Sankirtan. And he says, Param Vijayate, the topmost glories, or Vijayate means a victory, to Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. The Sankirtan movement we have started offers the best process for becoming purified of all sinful reactions and coming immediately to the platform of spiritual life. So this Sankirtan movement and chanting of the holy name, the congregational chanting and dancing in ecstasy in that holy name, there's no match to it. Nothing can be compared to it. It not only cleanses the heart of any activity of sinful activity, any thoughts of sinful activity. It not only just nullifies all the sinful reactions, but it gives Krishna Prem, which is not at all possible by any other process. This is it. This is the process. In fact, the chanting of the holy name is so powerful. We just read about Ajamil, he chanted offenselessly. So, and Prabhupada wrote that one becomes eligible for liberation. So Haridas Thakur, he used to chant 300,000 names, 3 lakh names every day, means 192 rounds every day. And he was famous for that, although he was born in a Muslim family. And this is even before he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was much before that. So he was in a village, I think the Saptagram village, because that's where the house of the father of Raghunath Das Goswami, and he was there at that house. And Raghunath Das Goswami's father, I think Hiranya Majumdar, he had arranged a program for Haridas Thakur to come and speak and let everybody know the glories of the holy name. And Haridas Thakur came and he was speaking of the glories of the holy name, and he was saying, and he said in that assembly that liberation is not a big deal. Only even by offenseless chanting of holy names of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can get liberated. What's the big deal about liberation? We are talking about love for Krishna. So there were many people in the assembly, and there was one person, Gopal Chakravarti, in the assembly. And he got up, and he was very angry with Haridas Thakur and Hiranya Majumdar for arranging this meeting, arranging this program. And when he thought Haridas Thakur was speaking all nonsense. And he got up, he was angry. He said, how is it possible that for liberation one has to do so much of tapasya, do so much of meditation, then one gets eligible for liberation? And you're saying just by offenseless chanting of holy names one can get liberated? And then he ranted more. He was angry, so he kept on saying that this is definitely Kali Yuga has come because all the Brahmins, Pandits, we have to listen to some Muslim Yavan and this or that. I cannot even repeat what he said about Haridas Thakur. So Haridas Thakur sitting there very humbly, and actually Gopal Chakravarti said that if whatever you said is not true, I will come and cut off your nose. Actually, that Gopal was a very handsome person, and he had a very beautiful nose, very nicely shaped nose. He was very proud of that nose. So generally, what happens is when somebody is angry and he curses the other person, he thinks whatever I like, if the other person doesn't have, then the other person will suffer a lot. Just like if we remember in the story of Lord Shiva and Daksha, when he was so angry with Lord Shiva, although Lord Shiva didn't do anything, all he did was he did not pay obeisances to Daksha when he entered that sacrificial arena. Daksha got so angry. And then he said, this Shiva, we all read about whatever he said. But then he said, he gave the curse that Shiva will not get his share of sacrifice because he himself was attached to those shares of sacrifice, shares of offerings in the sacrifice. And he thought if Shiva doesn't get, then he will suffer. But Lord Shiva, being a Param Vaishnava, he was not attached to getting the share of offering because, in fact, he hated it. Because for that, he had to sit in line with the demigods. And he didn't want that. And he was very happy and he left. So similarly here, Haridas Thakur, he very humbly, he was listening to all this ranting and raving by Gopal Chakravarti, and Haridas Thakur very humbly responded that if this is not true, whatever I said, I will myself cut off my nose. Because whatever I said, it is completely true. So what had happened, and so when all this Gopal Chakravarti's talk was going on, then Hiranya Majumdar, because he was very rich man, yes, his monthly income was 1 lakh gold coins at that time, 500 some years ago. So him and his brother, they just kicked out this Gopal Chakravarti. He said, get out of here. You're not supposed to come here and say all these bad things to our guest here, to our guest Haridas Thakur. So Gopal Chakravarti was kicked out, and because he spoke so much against Haridas Thakur, he committed many offenses. And it so happened that he contracted leprosy, and within 3 days only, his beautiful nose fell off. It just became, the leprosy came. I mean, he contracted leprosy, and it hit his nose, and it just melted and fell off, and he became ugly. I mean, we can only imagine if somebody doesn't have a nose. And that time there was no plastic surgery for nose available. So yes, that's a problem with offenses, offenses to a devotee, Vaishnava offense. But at the same time, this is the potency of the holy name. Even if somebody chants offenselessly, not with pure love, just offenselessly, he can get liberated. Naikantikam tadhi krite api nishkrite manah punar dhavati chet Satpathe tatkarma nir haram abhipsatam harer gunanuvada kalu sattva bhavana. The ritualistic ceremonies of atonement recommended in the religious scriptures are insufficient to cleanse the heart absolutely, because after atonement, one's mind again runs towards material activities. Consequently, for one who wants liberation from the fruitive reactions of material activities, the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra or glorification of the name, fame, and pastimes of the Lord is recommended as a most perfect process of atonement, because such chanting eradicates the dirt from one's heart completely. So that is more important, to remove that dirt, to cleanse the heart completely. The statements in this verse have been confirmed previously in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sharnvatam Sakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hirdam Tasto Yabadrani Vidunoti Surat Satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is a Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. It is a special mercy of the Supreme Lord that as soon as he knows that one is glorifying his name, fame, and attributes, he personally helps cleanse the dirt from one's heart. Therefore, simply by such glorification, one not only becomes purified, but also achieves the results of pious activities. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Punya Shravana Kirtana refers to the process of devotional service. Even if one does not understand the meaning of the Lord's name, pastimes, or attributes, one is purified simply by hearing or chanting of them. Such purification is called Sattva Bhavana. So even if one does not understand the meaning of the Lord's name, he still gets purified. And very, very purified, very fast also. One's main purpose in human life should be to purify his existence and achieve liberation. As long as one has a material body, one is understood to be impure. In such an impure material condition, one cannot enjoy a truly blissful life, although everyone seeks it. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam says, Tapo Divyam Putraka Yena Sattvam. One must perform tapasya, austerity, to purify his existence in order to come to the spiritual platform. The tapasya of chanting and glorifying the name, fame, and attributes of the Lord is a very easy purifying process by which everyone can be happy. Therefore, everyone who desires the ultimate cleansing of the heart must adopt this process. Other processes such as karma, jnana, and yoga cannot cleanse the heart absolutely. Only chanting of the holy names can. So anybody, everybody who induces her to help us in chanting, that's our best friend actually. So anywhere, anyhow, we should just chant. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshashtakam, he just glorified chanting. He said, there is no particular rules and regulations for where one can chant. You can chant anywhere and everywhere. Only condition that we have is, because we are so much in the beginning stages, that we should not chant on our beads anywhere and everywhere. Like, we cannot take the beads in the toilet and chant. Of course, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj used to do that, but we cannot imitate him. So, but chanting can go on. Chanting can go on. So there was a devotee. Again, he was a little boy, Gopal. So another devotee, he heard this Shikshashtakam of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he heard that Mahaprabhu said he can chant anywhere and everywhere. So he got so used to, so accustomed to chanting that he could not stop chanting. I wish we had this kind of problem. So he could not even stop chanting everywhere and anywhere. And then he heard that chanting is non-different from Krishna, but Bhagavan is non-different from his holy name. So now it was a big dilemma for him, because when he went to answer nature's call, he could not stop chanting, but he wanted to stop because he was saying, I'm answering my nature's call. How can I have Krishna standing here? He's non-different from his name. So much of faith he had, and so much of conviction he had in this description. So he was trying to hold his tongue, and still the tongue was vibrating to chant the holy name. And while he was doing his stuff, and he was still holding, and it was miserable. So Gopal, boy, he saw that. And then afterwards, Gopal came to him. He said, why you were trying to hold your tongue? And the person explained, because Krishna is non-different from his name, and I could not chant. I didn't want Krishna to be present there when I was passing stool. And Gopal said, but you know that there's no fixed time for death. Death can come at any time. And if the death comes and you're not chanting, then we don't know where you're going to go, where you're going to end up. So chant always. And there's no problem in chanting while even when you're passing stool, because it's all pure, it's all perfect. There's no problem. So then that man got convinced. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard that little Gopal had convinced this person and he knows so much of glories of the holy name, Mahaprabhu called him Gopal Guru from that time on. And he's not an ordinary person. He is Gopal Guru. And Gopal Guru's, there's a beautiful temple in Vrindavan, small temple, and either Gopal Guru's samadhi is there, or the deities that he used to worship. They are there. Some things there. It's been a long time since I went to that temple. So these are the glories of the holy name. Of course, they are unlimited glories, just like the unlimited glories of Krishna, and similarly are the unlimited glories of the holy name. So these are some of the glories. Text again. Athainam apanayat krita sheshagnish yadaso bhagwan nama mriyamana samagrahit. At the time of death, this Ajamil helplessly and very loudly chanted the holy name of Lord Narayan. That chanting alone has already freed him from the reactions of all sinful life. Therefore, O servants of Yamaraj, do not try to take him to your master for punishment and hellish conditions. The Vishnu Dutas, who are superior authorities, gave orders to the Yamdutas, who did not know that Ajamil was no longer subject to tribulation and hellish life for his past sins. Although he had chanted the holy name Narayan to indicate his son, the holy name is so transcendently powerful that he was automatically freed because he had chanted the holy name while dying. As Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Yesham antagatam papam jananam punya karma. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated and who are freed from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. Unless one is freed from all sinful reactions, one cannot be promoted to the platform of devotion service. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, it is said, if one remembers Krishna or Narayana at the time of death, one is certainly eligible to return immediately home back to Godhead. So this is how powerful it is. And what kind of chanting? Sanketyam parihasyam va stobam helanameva va vaikuntha nama grahanam asheshaga haram viduhu. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins, even if he chants indirectly to indicate something else, helanam, or jokingly, parihasyam, for musical entertainment, or even neglectfully. This is accepted by all the learned scholars of the scriptures, even for musical entertainment. Like many times we have this Sankirtan, or we have the chanting band, rock band, and people come and they want to imitate the rock band chanting, and they chant along, dance along. All their sins are wiped out right then and there. Patitas khalito bhagna sandashtas tapta ahata harir iti aveshan naha puman nara harti yatana. If one chants the holy name of Hari and then dies because of an accidental misfortune, such as falling from the top of a house, slipping and suffering broken bones while traveling on the road, being bitten up by a serpent, being afflicted with pain and high fever, or being injured by a weapon, one is immediately absolved from having to enter hellish life, even though he is sinful. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, yam yam vapi smaran bhava. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. If one practices chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, he is naturally expected to chant Hare Krishna when he meets with some accident. Even without such practice, however, if someone somehow or other chants the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, when he meets with an accident and dies, he will be saved from hellish life after death. So powerful is this chanting of holy names. And that's what we have to do. Just make it such an integral part of our life that always, anywhere, everywhere, only thing we can think of is Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay, so I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any question or comment? Hare Krishna, Dhanusman.
Ajamil must be thanking himself, Prabhuji. बच गया मैं किसी तरह.
क्या चीज मैं समझा नहीं पूरा.
मैं कह रहा हूँ Ajamil must be thanking himself while all this discussion is going on, that at least he took the name of his son and thus was saved.
Yep. Yep. And later on we'll see what happens, what he did.
Prabhuji, मुझे ये query है. In fact, it's written in Bhagavatam, so it's 100% correct, no doubt about it. पर जैसे कि प्रभुजी कई बार ये संकीर्तन वगैरह होता है. In fact, I know there are moments when we actually somehow feel very ecstatic. There are moments, but normally other time हम enjoy कर रहे होते हैं कि चलो कीर्तन करेंगे, जोर से dance करेंगे and all those stuff. So is this an offense by any chance, Prabhu? जैसे for instance जैसे बाहर में temple से जब संकीर्तन होते हैं या शोभा यात्रा होता है, at times in fact, you know what I mean, devotees मतलब वो ecstasy से बाहर होकर के then वो थोड़ा सा मौज मस्ती में भी हो जाता है. So is that offense because we are chanting the name of the Lord in any ways, ना?
Yeah, but See, our purpose is not just to remove the sinful reactions.
Yes.
Our purpose is much further, to attain love for Krishna. So love for Krishna means love for his holy name as well. And love for holy name means we respect that holy name.
Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, इसमें मतलब sorry, in fact, a very naive question. So one is Narayan, Krishna, कुछ बोल रहे, but any name of the Lord is equally important, na Prabhuji? Any name.
Any and every name is important, but for this
Yeah.
Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given this Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Mahamantra, हाँ. That is true,
He
but
is a Yuga Avatar, and he has given the medicine for this day and age. So we just do that.
so true, Prabhuji. And we are so fortunate that at least we came in contact with ISKCON, and through this group, at least we are reading the glories further. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna.
जितनी भी उदासी छाई थी वो हेलिश कंडीशन सुन के ना सब मंद मंद मुस्कुरा रहे होंगे ये सर सुन के। मेरे को लगता है कि अर्चना शर्मा जी भी मुस्कुरा रही हैं अब धीरे धीरे। थैंक यू प्रभु
Yeah,
जी।
those descriptions are very terrible.
तब तो बिल्कुल चुप्पी छाई हुई थी, अब तो सब अंदर से सोच रहे होंगे नहीं चलो हरि नाम तो लेते हैं, चाहे झूठा ही लेते हैं लेकिन कुछ तो लेते हैं, कहीं ना कहीं तो बता देंगे। Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this wonderful narrations.
It was so
Thank you,
beautiful.
Prabhuji. Thanks, Mata. Chaliye, you all have a safe and wonderful day.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Jai Srila
Krishna,
Prabhupada.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Jai Shri